And the manager says, "What's going on here?" And this woman says, "She won't let us sit down. We want to go to sit down." And I said, "But Mr. Batten," that was his name, Batten. I said, "It's Hitchcock."
When people think of Carol Burnett, they usually remember her bright smile, her warm personality, and the laughter she brought to millions of homes. For decades, she was seen as one of the kindest and most beloved figures in television history. Her famous variety program, The Carol Burnett Show, became one of the most popular shows of the 1960s and 1970s. Families across America gathered every week to watch the funny sketches, silly characters, and unforgettable moments that made the show special. Burnett had a unique talent for making people laugh in a natural and joyful way. She never seemed arrogant or distant like some celebrities. Instead, she felt like someone viewers could trust and admire. But behind the laughter and success, her life was not always easy. Like many people in the entertainment world, Burnett faced moments of disappointment, betrayal, and heartbreak that most fans never saw. The television cameras only showed the happy side of her life, while many struggles remained hidden. Fame can bring great opportunities, but it can also bring pressure, jealousy, and misunderstandings. Over the years, Burnett experienced conflicts with coworkers, challenges in her personal life, and moments when people she trusted let her down. These experiences did not destroy her career, but they changed the way she looked at the world. She learned that even the most successful people must face difficult moments. The story of Carol Burnett is not only about comedy and fame. It is also about resilience, strength, and the quiet courage needed to keep moving forward when things go wrong. Understanding these hidden struggles gives fans a deeper appreciation for the woman behind the laughter and explains why her legacy continues to inspire so many people today. By the late 1960s, Carol Burnett had already built a strong reputation as a talented performer. However, everything changed when The Carol Burnett Show first appeared on television in 1967. At that time, variety shows were very popular, but Burnett's program quickly stood out from the rest. The show combined comedy sketches, musical performances, and playful conversations with the audience. One of the most famous parts of the show happened at the beginning of each episode, when Burnett answered questions from people in the studio audience. This moment created a friendly and personal connection that many viewers loved. The cast also played a huge role in the show's success. Talented performers like Harvey Korman helped create some of the funniest scenes on television. Korman was known for his perfect timing and his ability to stay serious, while Burnett tried to make him laugh. Their chemistry became one of the highlights of the program. Many sketches became legendary, especially the comedy parodies of famous movies and dramatic television shows. Week after week, the show brought laughter to millions of viewers and quickly became a major success for the CBS network. Awards followed soon after. The program won multiple Emmy Awards and remained highly rated for many years. To the public, everything seemed perfect. Burnett appeared confident, the cast seemed happy, and the show continued to grow in popularity. However, behind the scenes, success sometimes created new challenges. Fame can change relationships and create unexpected pressure among coworkers. As the show grew more famous, tension slowly began to appear among some members of the cast. While the audience saw nothing but laughter, the reality behind the camera was sometimes more complicated than anyone realized. Although viewers believed everything on The Carol Burnett Show was full of joy and teamwork, life behind the scenes was not always as cheerful. One of the most important partnerships on the show was between Carol Burnett and Harvey Korman. Their comedy routines were famous for making each other laugh during sketches, which made audiences laugh even harder. However, as the program became more successful, small tensions began to appear. The show carried Burnett's name, which meant that she often received most of the public credit for its success. While Burnett always praised her cast members and treated them with respect, some people believed that the spotlight was not always shared equally. For a performer like Korman, who was extremely talented and dedicated to his craft, this situation could sometimes feel frustrating. Reports from crew members suggested that his mood slowly began to change during the mid-1970s. He seemed less relaxed and more serious during rehearsals. Some people noticed that he left the studio quickly after filming instead of joking with the cast like he used to do. These changes did not happen suddenly, but over time they created a quiet tension on the set. The friendly atmosphere that once filled the backstage hallways slowly became more uncomfortable. Even though Burnett remained professional and calm, she could feel the difference in their relationship. For someone who valued kindness and teamwork, this shift was painful. Burnett believed strongly that comedy worked best when performers trusted each other. When that trust began to weaken, it affected the mood of everyone involved. The audience still saw a perfect show every Saturday night, but the people working behind the cameras knew that something had changed. Eventually, the growing tension between Carol Burnett and Harvey Korman reached a breaking point during a rehearsal at the CBS studio. What was supposed to be a normal practice session suddenly became a dramatic moment that shocked everyone in the room. According to people who were present that day, a small technical problem caused frustration during filming preparations. Instead of reacting calmly, Korman reportedly lost his temper and expressed his anger in front of the cast and crew. The outburst surprised many people because he was normally known as a professional performer who respected his coworkers. Burnett remained calm during the situation, but the moment deeply affected her. For years, she had worked hard to build a positive environment where everyone could feel comfortable and supported. Seeing that atmosphere break apart was extremely disappointing for her. After the incident, Korman walked away from the set, leaving the cast and crew in silence. The situation quickly became a topic of conversation around the studio, and rumors began to spread about what might happen next. Some people even wondered if Korman would leave the show permanently. For fans who loved their comedy partnership, the possibility of separation seemed impossible. However, the tension showed how even successful relationships can face serious challenges. Later, Korman returned and apologized for his behavior, and he continued working on the show until it ended in 1977. Although their professional partnership continued, the friendship between them was never quite the same again. The experience taught Burnett an important lesson about leadership and forgiveness. She realized that running a successful show sometimes required strength, patience, and the ability to handle difficult situations without losing control. While challenges with coworkers were difficult, the most painful betrayal in Carol Burnett's life came much closer to home. Her marriage to Joe Hamilton began with love, trust, and shared dreams. The two first met while working on The Gary Moore Show in the early years of Burnett's career. At that time, she was still building her reputation as a performer, and Hamilton immediately recognized her incredible talent. He believed she had the ability to become a major star in television comedy. Their professional respect soon grew into a romantic relationship, and the couple eventually married. When The Carol Burnett Show launched in 1967, Hamilton played a major role behind the scenes as a producer and director. For many years, their partnership seemed perfect. Burnett entertained audiences in front of the camera, while Hamilton managed many of the business and production decisions. Together, they built a television empire that lasted more than a decade. However, as the show became more successful, their working relationship began to change. Some friends and colleagues noticed that Hamilton became more controlling about creative decisions. What once felt like teamwork slowly started to feel like authority. Scripts were sometimes approved before Burnett even saw them, and important choices about the show were made without her full involvement. Burnett believed that comedy should come from emotion and real human experiences, but Hamilton often focused more on control and perfection. These differences slowly created tension between them. Over time, the personal and professional conflicts began to affect their marriage. Rumors about problems in their relationship started appearing in entertainment news. Finally, after years of growing distance, the marriage ended in divorce in 1984. The separation was painful not only because it ended their relationship, but also because it forced them to divide the business they had built together. For Burnett, the experience was heartbreaking, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life. After the marriage between Carol Burnett and Joe Hamilton ended, their disagreements did not disappear. Instead, they continued in the form of legal disputes over money, television rights, and creative ownership. These kinds of conflicts are unfortunately common in the entertainment industry, where business partnerships often become complicated after relationships change. Burnett discovered that Hamilton had created business arrangements connected to projects that were inspired by her show. One of the most important examples involved the comedy series Mama's Family, which grew from a popular sketch originally performed on The Carol Burnett Show. The show eventually became its own successful television program, but the legal details about who controlled the rights created conflict between the former couple. Lawyers and courts became involved as both sides tried to protect their interests. These legal battles lasted for years and required enormous emotional energy. Burnett had spent much of her career focused on making people laugh, but now she had to spend time dealing with contracts, negotiations, and court decisions. Eventually, the courts reached a settlement that allowed Burnett to keep the rights to her show's name while Hamilton received a percentage of profits from syndication. Even though the legal situation was resolved, there was little sense of victory for anyone involved. Instead, the entire experience left Burnett feeling exhausted and disappointed. The man who had once supported her career had now become someone she had to face in court. For a person who valued loyalty and teamwork, this was a painful realization. Yet Burnett continued moving forward with her career, determined not to let the conflict define her future. She slowly rebuilt her life, focusing more on her family and her personal happiness rather than the pressures of television success. During the height of her television fame, Carol Burnett experienced many unusual encounters with other celebrities. One of the most surprising involved legendary actor Marlon Brando. At the time, Brando was one of the most famous and mysterious actors in Hollywood, especially after the success of The Godfather in 1972. Burnett's career existed in a completely different part of the entertainment world. She represented humor, warmth, and family-friendly television, while Brando was known for intense dramatic performances and a private, unpredictable personality. Their paths rarely crossed in professional settings, which made their brief interaction even more unexpected. According to stories that circulated in Hollywood, Burnett once received a very late-night phone call from Brando. It was the kind of situation that can easily feel strange or uncomfortable, especially when someone is calling at such an unusual hour. At first, the conversation appeared harmless, with Brando complimenting Burnett on her television show and her ability to make audiences laugh. However, the conversation reportedly became more personal, which made Burnett uncomfortable. She politely ended the call and tried to forget about the situation. Unfortunately, Hollywood gossip spreads quickly, and the story soon became the subject of rumors and tabloid headlines. Some media outlets suggested that Brando had been romantically interested in Burnett, while others exaggerated the story for attention. Burnett disliked being part of such rumors because she always tried to keep her personal life private. The situation reminded her how quickly fame could turn a small moment into public gossip. After that experience, she became more cautious about late-night calls and unexpected interactions with other celebrities. Even after achieving great success, Carol Burnett occasionally faced criticism from others in the entertainment industry. One well-known moment involved film legend Cary Grant. Grant was famous for his elegant acting style and classic Hollywood charm. During a public event at the Beverly Hilton, Burnett reportedly approached Grant with admiration for his work. However, their conversation became awkward when Grant criticized the style of comedy she performed on television. For Burnett, the comment was surprising and disappointing. She had always believed that comedy should reflect everyday life and connect with ordinary people. Instead of responding angrily, she answered calmly and continued with her evening. The story soon appeared in entertainment news, and many fans supported Burnett, praising her for staying respectful even when criticized. Years later, another situation caused quiet disappointment for her. When Saturday Night Live began airing in 1975, it introduced a new and more rebellious style of sketch comedy. The show became extremely popular and launched the careers of many young comedians. However, some fans noticed that Burnett, who had helped shape television sketch comedy years earlier, was never invited to host the program. While she publicly joked about the situation, people close to her believed it quietly hurt her feelings. Still, she never complained or attacked the show publicly. Instead, she continued focusing on her own projects and the legacy she had already built. These moments showed Burnett's ability to handle criticism and disappointment with dignity rather than anger. Despite the betrayals, misunderstandings, and challenges she experienced during her career, Carol Burnett never allowed bitterness to define her life. Instead, she continued to approach the world with warmth and humor. Her work on The Carol Burnett Show remains one of the most important achievements in television comedy. The show entertained audiences for more than a decade and influenced generations of performers who followed. Many comedians have said that Burnett inspired them not only because she was funny, but because she treated people with kindness and respect. Even when facing painful personal experiences, she rarely spoke publicly with anger. Instead, she focused on learning from those moments and growing stronger. Over the years, her legacy has continued to grow. She received numerous awards and honors recognizing her contributions to television, comedy, and entertainment. More importantly, she earned the lasting respect of audiences who admired her honesty and generosity. Burnett's story reminds people that success does not protect anyone from disappointment. Even the most beloved celebrities experience conflict, heartbreak, and difficult decisions. What makes Burnett special is the way she handled those moments. Rather than seeking revenge or creating public drama, she chose patience, dignity, and resilience. Her famous smile remained, but behind it was a deeper understanding of life and human nature. In the end, the story of Carol Burnett is not just about comedy. It is about strength, grace, and the courage to remain kind even when life becomes challenging. That quiet strength is what continues to make her one of the most respected figures in entertainment history. After the end of The Carol Burnett Show in 1978, many people wondered what the future would look like for Carol Burnett. For more than a decade, she had been one of the biggest stars on television. Her weekly comedy show had become part of American culture, and audiences had grown used to seeing her every Saturday night. When the program finally ended, it felt like the closing of an important chapter in television history. However, for Burnett, the end of the show also offered a chance to slow down and focus on other parts of her life. After years of demanding work schedules, she began exploring new creative opportunities while also spending more time with her family. She appeared in television specials, stage performances, and dramatic roles that allowed her to show a different side of her talent. Many people were surprised to discover how strong she could be in serious acting roles as well as comedy. During this time, Burnett also reflected on the lessons she had learned throughout her long career. The challenges she had faced with coworkers, business partners, and personal relationships had taught her the importance of boundaries and self-respect. She realized that success in entertainment could bring admiration from millions of fans but also complicated relationships behind the scenes. Rather than becoming bitter about those experiences, Burnett chose to focus on the positive memories and the friendships that had lasted. She also remained grateful for the opportunity to make people laugh for so many years. Fans continued to celebrate her work through reruns of her classic sketches, which introduced new generations to her unique style of humor. Even decades after the show ended, audiences still found joy in the simple, genuine comedy that made her famous. This period of her life showed that her career was not only about television success, but also about personal